All right, so we see that the daily and the yearly motions of the stars are east-westward, but in precession they go the other way. So that's why you have pyramids and stones like Stonehenge and all these monuments that are there to monitor precession. That's why they're there. But they're also there for the day and the year. But most importantly, they're there for precession. Even the measurements of the pyramid, they're all measurements that are harmonics of the 24,000 year cycle. Now someone asked me in the break, why do you use 24,000? Well, when corrected, according to Walter Cruttenden, when corrected, because precession is not a constant, it's not the figure of precession, the ratio and the rate is not constant. As we get closer to our sister star in this orbit, it speeds up. As we come racing towards Sirius, and Sirius races towards us, it speeds up here and it goes much faster than in the outer over here. So when corrected, it reduces down to 24,000 years, even though you will see the number of 25,920. But usually it's never under 24,000, and usually it's never over 25,920. Now, the other reason why I use 24,000 is because the Hindus do. Now this is a book by Sri Yukteswar called The Holy Science. Obviously that's where I got the theme for this talk today. I'm calling it The Holy Science because that's what they called it. That's what Marcus Manilius called it. That's what you probably haven't heard of this guy, 2nd, 3rd century astrologer, called Firmicus Maternus. That's what he said. It's a sacred and pure science, the holiest science, the most beautiful information that you can ever have. Now what does Sri Yukteswar say in The Holy Science? Well, this is what the Hindus knew, and where did they get their information from? Well, we have to, begs the question. We need to ask that and do some research into that because science doesn't tell you much about the great year. We've forgotten about it. You don't learn about it at school, you don't learn anything about it. It's creepy. It's the most important cycle that we should understand it, because then we can understand how history went from good down to bad, and went back up to good, then went back down to bad, like a yo-yo. Just like look, now we've got bad weather. We had better weather in summer. Now it's light. In 12 hours it'll be dark. These are the cycles. These are our cycles. We're locked into them. Locked. Just like the female is locked into the moon cycle, and has a menstruation cycle. She can't escape that. Men don't have it, but women cannot escape that. It's the moon that dominates them, just like the sun dominates us and the great year dominates our spirituality. And where we're going in the great year, the place where we're going right now is a beautiful place of enlightenment as we go through the photon belt and we get more gamma rays from the core of the Milky Way galaxy. That's what's going on. This is what Sri Yukteswar says in the opening words of his book. We learn from Oriental astronomy that moons revolve around their planets, and planets turning on their axes revolve with their moons round the sun. The sun, with its planets and their moons, takes some star for its jewel, binary. Yeah, is that right spelling? Yes. Because someone did ask me, what does binary mean? Well, it's two. It's like the binary system in the computer. There's two stars. By the way, there's 80% of the stars that you see are binaries. The other 20%, well, we haven't watched them enough. But when we do watch them and pay attention to them, we will learn that there's no one star out there on its own. Just like our atoms must get together and form compounds and then cells, or go from compounds to molecules, What's the compound? Well, H2O, hydrogen and 2 of oxygen, makes water. And we are 75% water. So atoms like to congregate. It's very rare that an atom will just go monotomically, you know, like, or a star will just float out there on its own. They all belong to star systems. And in fact, we're not just involved in a binary. We're also involved with the stars of the Pleiades, and in particularly Alcyone, Pleiades, and we're also involved with Procyon, the small dog. This is the big dog. Sirius is in the big dog, Canis Major. Canis Major. Procyon is the small dog. They're the 2 dogs that follow Orion in the sky, the hunter, as he kills the bull, Taurus. Right? He's got his 2 dogs behind him. One's the small dog, and Sirius is the big dog. And the reason why they call it a dog is because it dogs our star. It follows our star. It's the dog. Keeps dogging our star, following it. It takes some star for its jewel and revolves around it in about 24,000 years. Of our Earth, a celestial phenomenon which causes the backward movement of the equinoctial points around the zodiac. Just what I've said. The stars go backwards. It's a phenomena where they go backwards every 24,000 years. Now, so you can understand that as we orbit, it appears that the sun is rising in the east, but it's our sun rotating. Our Earth rotating. That's all it is. It's the Earth. We're moving. They're fixed virtually. So we see all these bodies rising in the east and setting in the west. If we could live for 24,000 years, we would actually then notice the slow backward movement of these stars, and that's how we would know that we're in this cycle, because that's a cycle. Right. I'm labouring the point, and you'll see why, because it's so beneficial to learn this and understand this for what's to come, the next part. Just a few more proofs that we're in a binary. The Great Pyramid. There's King's Chamber, Queen's Chamber. There's a beautiful big King's passageway there, and then it shoots off there to the Queen's Chamber, and then it comes down here, and there's the entrance there. There's some underground stuff going on down here, right? This is the one without the top. The all-seeing eye is supposed to sit in there. By the way, that represents ether, and this is fire, earth, air and water. Okay, ether, fire, earth, air and water. That's what the pyramid's telling you. That's the ether. It's uncapped for a reason. Yeah, well, it has too, yes, but when it's placed back on there, you will see this thing is going to come back to life very, very soon. Even the Bible talks about it. In Isaiah it says, there will be a monument built by the Lord in the heart of Egypt, on the border of Egypt, because it is on the border. Lower Egypt was everything from where the pyramid is. There's the Nile Delta, and there's the Mediterranean. The pyramid's right there. That was Lower Egypt. This is Upper Egypt, where Thebes is down here, and Luxor, and here is Cairo, and the pyramids on the Giza Plateau. That is in the middle of the land of the Lord. It will come back to life, and we will know what it was all about very soon.
Are they going to physically put a cap on that?
I don't know. It is, but something's going to happen with a cap. It's going to be found, because it was stolen, it was removed, and it was. There's a lot of information about this Ben, and over the thousands of years. If you read Tony Bushby's books, he's got a book. He's a Queenslander who exposes all of this false history that we've had, and explains some of these mysteries about the pyramids. Tony Bushby, and it talks about this, how it was stolen and removed. Annuis coeptis. Yeah, they put that on there. FDR put that on there because what it means is You've got annuis, coeptis in Latin means announcing the conception. That was the year when the Freemasons and the banking system implemented its New World Order, because on the other side of that you've got novo, ordis, secularis. The New World Order, announcing its conception.
What year was that?
33. In 33, we became the world, the banking system, all the countries became bankrupted, right? And we were used as collateral via our birth certificates for all their loans. So we're slaves under that system. Whilst we have a birth certificate registered, Regis is the king. You have given the title to your soul to the Vatican, and the people who manage that, who manage this trust, we have a trust, it's worth about $15 million. Your birth certificate's worth a lot of money. The bankers are issuing bonds against it from the day you were born and making billions. You have earned billions for the bankers. Billions. Have a look at Tim Turner. Tim Turner on YouTube, America Can Be Free. And you will learn how he is bringing down the court system in America, probably single-handedly. Big suing, big cases. We're going to catch these bastards. The private guild have been running the Vatican's trust system since the Knights Templars from about the 1500s. They have been running this system. So when you go to court, you actually front up to the priest. It's ecclesiastical. It's the Inquisition. The summons is an indulgence. You're going there to pay an indulgence. You're going there for a court hearing. Father, I have confessed. Because they're managing your account. Because you're a ward of the state. You handed in your birth certificate. Yeah. Well, we do that to our children too. I did that to my son. But now I know. But you can collapse these trusts. There's a guy called Franco Collins in Australia. Check out his stuff. I'm promoting his stuff. And I'm doing seminars also on law, teaching us how we've been enslaved and how we can get out of it. Because every time you get a fine, a utility, everything, it's being charged already to your trust. When you pay, you go to the post office and you pull out wads of cash to pay for your electricity bill, it's already been paid for. Everything's prepaid. It's all prepaid. You're not. They give you a statement for your utilities, not an invoice. It's just a statement telling you we've already dipped into your. We've got your numbers because you signed with us. We've got your numbers. We've dipped into your trust. It's been paid for. Here's a statement, and you go to the post office and give them more money. We've been enslaved. We've been duped in a big way. But it's more important that we focus on this because this will show you the biggest lie that was ever told. Not that one. That's the second biggest. The biggest one is about the Jesus history story. It's a big lie. It's a whopper. But the bigger you tell them, the more the stupid ones will fall. They'll fall. And they're going to their churches in droves, learning about a historical Jesus who's going to appear one day and save them. It's impossible. We are responsible for our own salvation through the course of love and consciousness and truth. We speak truth to one another. We verify things. We prove things. We are scientists and philosophers, lovers of wisdom. We don't go down their path. You see how people, when they get in a uniform, like a policeman, you see how they act, and they're tough, and they're over and above you, and they're going to indict you, and they're going to, and I've got tasers and I've got guns. This is barbaric. This world is barbaric how we've come and we've allowed these police officers to walk our streets. They're just a corporation. Vic Roads is a corporation registered on the Securities Stock Exchange Commission in New York to rub it in your nose. Not even in Australia. It's all of it. The Commonwealth of Australia, Vic Roads, all of these corporations are all registered in New York. They're traders.
Political parties as well.
Everything, political parties, all of them. That's all it is. But this exposes them. First you get to the biggest lie, and then you deal with the second biggest lie, and all the ones thereafter. This is big exposure. There's a shaft running out there, there's a shaft there, there's a shaft there, there's a shaft there. The 4 air shafts of the pyramid, okay? This is south, this is north. These stars point to Draco in the north.
Aren't 2 of those blocked?
Yeah, they're all blocked.
Don't 2 of them only go out?
All of them. They're all blocked. They're all blocked around here. This is the Gutenberg one where they sent that little... this is the interesting one because this points to Sirius. It always has, it always will. Because Sirius does not precess. Remember those stars that precess every 72 years? Sirius is always there.
Is that the pole star?
No, that's the pole star. Polaris is over in Draco. Not in Draco, but
The pole star doesn't freeze.
north and south. Yes, well the pole star, there's no star at perfect north. Polaris is here, and then there's 7 other stars in the north that all... See, what happens is the North Pole... It's hard to explain, but all these 7... There are 7 stars in the very, very northern hemisphere, and Polaris is sitting closest now to true north. So Polaris is the pole star only for 2,000 years, right? Then it will go to stars like... there's a couple in this Alpha Draco and Beta Draco, and there's a few more, but there are 7. And these, believe it or not, are more spoken of in prophecy than you would believe. You know the prophecy where it says, and the woman was holding her son to seat him on the throne, talking about Jesus and Mary, because Jesus is supposed to be ruling now for 2,000 years, the Christian age, right? Pisces? Well, it's all about this. Polaris is the sun, because Ursa Major, there are 7 constellations here, remember. One of them's Ursa Major, and the other one, which has Polaris in it, is Ursa Minor, the small bear. And she's sometimes depicted as a hippopotamus holding her baby, Polaris, because she wants to put her son on the throne. But he only gets 2,000 years. Draco, he gets 6,000 years on the throne. Draco's a bigger constellation. There they are. They're the northern stars. And Polaris right now is the closest to the north. And he always gets to sit on the throne in the age of Pisces and Aquarius. So when Aquarius comes, that's what it means that Jesus, the Son, will rule for 1,000 years. Because he's got 1 more 1,000 years, and then he gets knocked off by the next star. And when those stars line up to Polaris, when they actually get to go on the throne, there's certain conditions. There's the golden age when one of these constellations is on the throne. There's the iron age when the Lord Polaris gets on the throne. Try to remember that, because this is how prophecy works. It's all about the stars. And when the stars fall from heaven, it means they've fallen out of their original place. They've shifted, they've moved, because they're always monitoring this sky above. Because in the sky above, as you will see, are all the fairy tales. Our agricultural year is there. Our body is there. The man Adam in the sky is there. If you... there it is. Starting with Aries at the head. Taurus, Gemini. There's the twins, Gemini, the arms. Pollux and Castor, the right hand. Cancer is the chest, corresponds with the chest. Leo is the heart. Virgo is the belly. Libra is the kidneys. Scorpio is the generative organs. Sagittarius is the thighs. Capricorn, knees. Aquarius and Pisces is the feet. Now this is a big, big story. That the man, starting from Aries in the head, Taurus, Gemini, the 2 lungs and the 2 arms, Cancer, Leo, Virgo, Libra, Scorpio, Sagittarius, Capricorn, is all there. So when you go to a healer and he sees your birth chart and he notices that you've got an opposition to, let's say, to Virgo. Well, he knows that you're going to have some trouble with your intestines. You'll have some bowel problems for the rest of your life. So you need to have crystals. I don't have my crystals with me today because I came plain, but I like to usually wear crystals because I have an affliction in Virgo. And I've always had intestinal or stomach discomfort because it's there. It's in your birth chart. If you get headaches, you've got an affliction to your head, to Aries. Check your birth chart. If you've got kidney problems, I do birth charts for many people, many friends, and sometimes strangers, because I like to tell them what's going on in their body. And I look at their birth chart and I see the afflictions. And just the other day, I said to an Indian man, I said, you're going to have to watch your kidneys because there's an affliction there. And he looked at me and he went white. And he said, I've had severe problems with my kidneys all my life. And I said, well, it's there. There it is. That's the line going to your kidneys. You can heal yourself for free if you know this science. But Big Pharma doesn't want that. You know how much they make from cancer? $800,000. Please accept chemotherapy. Please, it's the best that's out there. Oh, just do it. How do they get $800,000? Through your trust. Everything is charged to your trust. They're making so much money from us. That's how it happens. Alrighty, so let's get into just a couple more reasons and proofs that we're in a binary. Because we've already discussed the fact that Sirius has turned blue. This shaft here is always pointing to Sirius. It doesn't precess. He mentions it here, mentions all of the proofs that I'm going to give you. Let's go for some more proofs. January the 1st. Every January the 1st, there is an alignment. Guess what that alignment is? Sirius, the Earth, and the Sun. In fact, on January the 1st, when we're out there at South Bank watching all those firecrackers and the display, what people fail to notice, if they look straight above, almost straight above, and you should do this at 1 o'clock because we have daylight saving, and normally it'd be 12 o'clock, but do it at 1, right? Next January the 1st. Just look up and you'll see Sirius. Midnight. And below your feet is the Sun. It's midnight, so the Sun's below your feet, and directly above is Sirius, and in between must be the Earth, because you're standing on it. So this alignment proves that we're in a binary. We're in an elliptical orbit around the Sun. Let's put the Sun here. So when we orbit the Sun, it's not like this. It's not in the middle, and it's not a pure circle. It's a bit like that. This point here is January the 1st. Let's just exaggerate it a little bit. That's January the 1st, guys. Interesting? That's why it's the first day of the year. It's got nothing to do with our sun. If you're going to make the first day of the year based on our solar system alone, it would have to be either December the 21st, March the 21st, June the 21st, or September the 21st. It has to be either an equinox or a solstice. It can't be January the 1st. January the 1st doesn't make sense at all. But it does when you know that this is perihelion. Apohelion is when it's over. It's when it's over here on June. Around June, July. So January the 1st is perihelion. Helion is the sun. Closest to the sun, furthest away from the sun. Right? Another expression might be, what's the other expression that's used more generally when you have the closest to, oh God, it'll come to me. But when we're dealing with the sun, and when the planets are actually closest to it, we use this expression, perihelion. Now, what else is happening at that? I told you that it's our sun is actually lined up with Sirius. So let's put Sirius there. That's what's happening. There's our Earth. This is January the 1st every year. Notice anything interesting about that? Well, sorry, let's do this. No, let's do it like this. I'm sorry, I've confused you. I should have done it like this. Let's put that orbit over here. Yeah, that's better. There's the Earth there. Sorry. Okay. No wonder I didn't get any responses, because now it's obvious. Have a look at that. That's January the 1st. Perihelion, and we're lined up with Sirius. You can see. Can you see the drag on the orbit? Can you see it's obviously that this guy. In fact, I could put it here. Really, I could put it like this, like that. Make more sense. And put Sirius over here. These guys are getting sucked into each other so fast. They're travelling toward each other so fast that this is going on. And that's why you've got January the 1st here. That's a proof that we're in a binary with Sirius. Why would Sirius be directly above and the Sun below your feet on January the 1st every year? Check it out. What about another proof? Okay, time deltas. Here's another proof that we're in a binary with Sirius. Our moon goes around the Earth every 29.49 days. Our moon. But the phases are only 27 days, 0.2. So you've got 27 days for the synodic moon. 27 days for the synodic moon, so the phases of the moon, okay? And it's 29 days, 0.4, for the whoopsie, I got that the wrong way around. It's the other way around. This goes down here. All right, so every 29.5 days, we see quarter moon, full moon, quarter moon, new moon. But it only takes 27 days for the moon to go right around the Earth. So there's a delta of 2.2 days. It's a delta. A delta is like a slice in the pie. There's 2.2 days difference between the two moon cycles. This is where people get confused with the moon. And there's a few other cycles in there, but we'll just stick with these two ones now, right? The synodic and the actual sidereal orbit of the moon. Let me explain how it works. It's quite simple. So, there's our Sun, and here we are orbiting around the Sun, and there's the Earth, nice and green, and we have a moon that orbits anti-clockwise around our anti-clockwise rotating Earth. Right? Now that moon, from that point to there, it will get to there in 27 days. It'll go around in 27 days, 27.2 days. But because our Earth is moving, in around about 30 days it'll be there. Okay? Because it's moved from here to here, and it's going to, every 30 days it'll have clocked the orbit, right? It's gone around the orbit. Okay? So 12 months of the year. So it's moved from there to there. So, and it's curving, everything is curving around the Sun. So that explains that time delta. Because our moon wants to go around the Earth, right? So what it does is the Earth is moving while it's going around. It's moving and moving and moving. By the time it starts from here and gets back to that point, it will have to get back to that point over there. And it's moved 30 degrees, right? And that going around takes 27 days. But the phases are lagging behind by 2.2 days. Because it had to, that's the 2.2 days from there to there, because it's moving, it's a moving target. So it's got to catch up. So the phases, finally the last phase, catches up with the moon from here to there. Okay?
What's called another. There's a... always learn.
No.
No, that's something different.
Yes. Yes. No, it's not that. I'm using that analogy of the time delta because we're so familiar with that. We know about this. I mean, have you cleared that up in your mind before, or is it now clear now about the time delta? Did you realise that the phase and the actual orbit were 2.2 days different? There you go. You see how valuable this information is about our solar system? And when you know that, then you realise that every year we're also losing 20 minutes. We lose 20 minutes. There's a time delta of 20 minutes with respect to our sun and the Earth going around it, just like the moon going around our Earth. The relationship between here and here, there's also a time delta. It's a little bit more difficult to explain. But if you get the book, and I do recommend you read this book, because he's gone back and he loves this guy, loves him, right? And he loves all those myths. That's why he's called this the lost star of myth and time. We have suffered in our knowledge of this binary. It's our problem. The time delta works like this, because our sun is curving around Sirius, there has to be a time delta. I'll keep it simple. That's all I'm going to say. You can learn how the time delta is there. It's a 20-minute time delta. Now that's enough of the proofs. There's a couple more. There's the thing called shear edge. Our solar system, if that's the sun and these are all the planets going around it, and then there's the asteroid belt out here going around, and there's a lot of stuff. There's the Oort cloud and the Kuiper belt, and all of a sudden it ends. There's a shear edge. It just stops. No asteroids, no rocks, no nothing. Just beautiful, clean air. And this is way outside of our solar system, like about 40 or 50 astronomical units. We're talking 40 or 50 astronomical units. Remember, an astronomical unit is 93 million miles. So at 40 or 50 astronomical units, there's a shear edge. There's nothing. These are all rocks and everything like that. And this is just our solar system there, right? Then you go out into the Kuiper belt, and then there's a shear edge. Well, because obviously we're rotating around another star, which also has a shear edge. And when those asteroids and everything come close to each other, they repel each other and keep them in a body, which is called a solar system. That's what it is. That's another proof that we're in a solar binary with Sirius. And there's a few more, which I won't go into because I want to get into the juicy stuff. It's coming. All right? Now, so we've got a good grasp of the solar system now. All right? We know a little bit more than we did 2 hours ago. Okay? There's more to learn, but it doesn't matter. We'll keep it simple. The day and the year, all of the cycles that we live in are attributed to the timekeepers. I showed you how the moon comes from month, year comes from yes, the sun. So we have established that all our cycles, these boys and girls, these are the Elohim. Venus is a girl, Mercury is a girl, it's a hermaphrodite. The moon is a girl, he's a boy, he's a boy, he's a boy, and he's a boy, Mars. These are the only solid bodies in the solar system. These are all gas. These are gas giants, Uranus and Neptune, Pluto. Gas, solid. Boy. So you've got Thor, Woden, the one-eyed Woden. Zeus is always one-eyed. And he's the god of thunder. Why? Well, have a look at the Voyager images of Jupiter and look at the surface, and it's just chaos. It's electric chaos. It is an electric storm. There's billions of storms going on around its atmosphere all the time. They knew it was the god of thunder, because it is. He represents ether. He's the one that brings in the ether into our solar system. This one brings in the fire, the hydrogen. This is the fire guy. And the air is Venus. And the water is the moon. And the earth is Saturn. All of those planets are bringing in those four. They all harmonise with this. In fact, everything does. Your bodies do. Everything harmonises with the 7, Elohim, or the 12, the 12 potential energies. For instance, I'm an Aries. I have cardinal fire. So I resonate with the fire energy. All right, your Cancerians, water. And Carl Jung taught us that these are the intuitives, the thinkers, the emotional, and the five sense people. If you're a Capricorn or a Virgo or a Taurian, you will be most served by your five senses in this world. Touch things, see things, smell things. It's a pleasure to watch a Taurian eating, watching TV, sitting on his leather couch, you know. It's a pleasure. They're just so different to my people. We don't pay much attention to that sort of stuff. Doesn't matter. It's just the different modes, different styles. These people, my brother is a Scorpio, and the emotions. You think I'm emotional? It's a pleasure to watch a Piscean, mutable water, or a Scorpio, fixed water, or Cancer with the moon, especially females, Cancerians. Their emotions, it's just beautiful. It's exquisite. That's if their emotions are balanced. If they're unbalanced, you know, your Cancerians and Scorpios, you know, they're a handful. And the air people, my son's Libran, it's busy eyes. Aquarians, busy eyes. Why? Because they're mind. These are the mind people, the spirit people. This is the sign of the man. You look at the air signs and you've got a scale with a man in it. You've got the two Geminis, that's two humans. And you've got Aquarius, the water bearer. All the others are animals. These are human. It's mind. They are great thinkers. Aquarian geniuses. Great thinkers. Librans, balanced minds. And your Geminis, two minds. Believe me, there's two minds. There are two minds. These guys are the intuitives. Their intuition is what gets them through, and that's from Carl Jung. Okay, we'll spend some more time on that later. And I also want to show you that the signs manifest body types and facial types. You look at your Leos. There's your Geminis. One eye goes one way, one eye goes the other way, like a bung eye. They've got the skewed facial look because they've got two faces, haven't they? Yeah, I love it. I can pick Gemini straight away. Just you can see that sort of...
Hold it up.
Hold it up. There's your Geminis. JFK. Who we got here? Clint Eastwood. Marilyn Monroe. Paul McCartney. There's your Leos. Feline features. They've got the feline eyes. Or they've got the lion's mane. Big mane. You can see the features.
Can you tell me something about Capricorn? Is it...
Yes. Well, yeah, we're going to do that. We're going to do that. It's all going to come out in this graph that I'm going to do right now. We'll get into the astrology. Astrology is very, very, very important. Very, very sacred science. Just want to share with you how Marcus Manilius introduced his book. I love reading this. It's worth reading. Marcus Manilius, the astronomer to Caesar Augustus, and if you read this poem, I promise you, you will understand everything that I'm going to do today, because I learnt most of my stuff from these ancient astronomers. You've got to read Ptolemy, you have to read Firmicus Maternus, and you've got to read Marcus Manilius, Aratus, Plato, Hermes. Most important. You, god of Selene, that's Mercury, Selene's the moon, are the first founder of this great and holy science. Through you has man gained a deeper knowledge of the sky, the constellations, the names and courses of the signs, their importance and influences, and the aspect of the firmament that the aspect of the firmament might be enhanced, that all might be roused not only by the appearance, but by the power of things. It's pretty powerful. And that mankind might learn wherein lay God's greatest power. And believe me, when you learn this science, you will be doing one great favour to yourself. You will know yourself. And as the Oracle of Delphi said, man, know thyself, and you will know the gods of the heavens, and the gods that rule them. That's the knowledge that they have been fighting against, the theologians. They've been fighting this and telling us that it's poo-poo. Who tells you that astrology is poo-poo? There's only two classes of people, the clergy and the fools, who believe them. I see that all the time. Christians that go to church and have been indoctrinated, astrology is from the devil, and as soon as you say something like, what's your star sign? You ask them what their star sign is, they say, I don't believe in that bullshit. And then I say, well, how much do you know about it? What do you know? Nothing. It's just bullshit. Because they've been told it's bullshit. And who by? The pedophile priests, who don't want you to grow and know thyself. They want you to know their God, their fiction, the one that they've invented, their personal creator, who's called, the Jehovah's Witnesses tell you that, their God expects you to go around witnessing. I know, I was a Jehovah's Witness for 20 years. And you go knocking on people's doors because you have to go knocking on people's doors. But the Mormons say that their God won't let you drink coffee because you go to hell. And then the Seventh-day Adventists say, they're making it up as they go. When you learn the science, then you know God. I'm talking about the principle of electricity and magnetism here, by the way, when I say feminine. Feminine is magnetic and masculine is electric, but it goes back and forth. So that day is powerful for that reason. It's very powerful, just switches all your circuitry around. It's the middle of that. 11 is a handover date from one of the deacons, right? In astrology, I'll just do this quickly and then we'll get stuck into it. You've got your 12 signs, right? You've got your 12 signs, but they're not in line with the months. For instance, you've got March the 21st over here for Aries, March the 21st. Right? That's when Aries begins, but April starts over here, April the 1st. The 1st, so that's the first decan, the first 10 days of Aries. Then from the 1st of April to the 10th, you've got the second decan of Aries. Then from the 10th to the 20th, you have the third decan. That is a handover date of the energy. The single digit numbers, this decan, the middle decan, is the one that is uncontaminated from the energy of the cusp, the neighbouring sign. Right? They're the pure ones. 1 to 10, they are the pure ones. I've got a brother who's the 8th of November, he's pure Scorpion. Pure Scorpio. You can just see it. And we look so alike, we look like twins. Now how can that be? Because I'm Aries. Because of Mars, the ruler of both of them. And now in my same family, I've got 2 Librans, and they have the Venetian features. They've got Venus. My sister and my brother, they look like they're twins, and me and my Scorpion brother look like twins. If you look in your family and you look at your brothers, what sign they are, you will see that they have the trait of that sign. I'll explain that because it's very important. But these are the pure ones. And the 11th is the handover into the next decan, which has contamination from the neighbouring sign. Yeah. And the closer they get to the 20th, the more contaminated, more cusp they are. And believe you me, It's very strong numbers if you're born on 19th, 20th, 21st or 22nd. Very powerful. All right, let's go. Yes, I do.
People won't understand.
Okay, so where we left off was the science. We understood a little bit better the solar system, didn't we? The day, the year, and the great year. We understand them much better. Much, much better. Polarity of day and night, the enemy being the night. If you had to choose between day and night to do all your stuff, you know, write letters to your friends, grow a garden, which would you choose if you had to be stuck in either one of those? If the sun stopped, everything stopped and we just got stuck where we were, would you have day or would you have night? Yeah. Both will kill you, because if you're in the day all the time facing the sun, it'll be a desert within 30 days. And night will kill you, you'll freeze to death and you'll die. We need both of them. They're both good and they're both evil. The sun can kill you in the desert, but the sun is your source of vitality and life. Without it, you are nothing. So you see that good and evil is not really good and evil. It's in principle. It's the principle of resistance. As the light comes out from the furnaces, the suns, that light has to have some resistance to be able to produce forms. Without it, it doesn't. It can't. And everything in the universe is electric and magnetic. Everything. Electricity contracts and magnetism, and electricity contracts and gravitates, and magnetism radiates. And that's it. And take it from the genius Walter Russell, because that is what he teaches. He teaches in this book that there is nothing that God, there's no tool outside of electricity that God uses to make everything that exists. This guy was a genius. He was not as known as his contemporaries as Einstein and all of those guys. He lived around their time. He's sculpted presidents of the United States and he's painted their portraits and he's been their advisors and he's been there, in there, and he's recognised. And that's what he says. And he explains that in this book. I believe if you want to understand physics, please try and read this or check him out on YouTube. There's a few good videos about his simple theory of electricity and magnetism. And there's also a website called Thunderbolts. Thunderbolts. Either info or com or net. But anyway, Thunderbolts are the people who are, they're not your typical herd consensus scientists, and they're teaching exactly these things in harmony with Velikovsky and all the other geniuses, that all there is out there is electricity and its effect, magnetism, male and female. Okay? Now, so we understood that. So we like the day because we can see things and we don't bump into things. So the sun, as Plato said, is the cause of our the cause of our knowledge and wisdom. Because without it we can't see the things that give us the objects and the nature. The nature shows itself in the nakedness when the sun comes up and we can see it. We can see how flowers are and birds and all the symbiotic relationships and cycles that are out there. Beautiful forms, flowers and flora and fauna. And so it's a teacher. Now, and it's the teacher of the sense of the sight. It's the ruler of the eyes. The ruler of the ears is Saturn. That's why you have earrings, because Saturn has rings. And Saturn is the god of law. And so you're instructed to put those earrings on your ears and to listen to the law of Saturn, because Saturn is the king of the whole system. He takes 30 years to go around the sun, then Jupiter's 12 years, then Mars is about 2, then you place the sun in the middle here with 365 days, And this is the Ptolemaic order, by the way: Saturn, Jupiter, Mars, Sun, Venus, Mercury, Moon. Venus takes 225 days, Mercury's 88 days, and the Moon is, we'd give it a number of 28 days. So Saturn rules. You put those earrings on and listen to the law of Saturn. It's the best law, and that's why they use the Latin language in court, because it's the language of Saturn. And if you read the Aeneid of Virgil, the famous words where he says, "You Latin people, we know, we Latins, that we are the children of Saturn." Saturn is Latin. And that's why law is in Latin. And those earrings are on the ear. And I'll show you how later how the sun rules the eyes, and his twin brother, the evil Satan, rules the ears. Through one you see and through one you hear. Because they are the two senses that you will always want to keep. If you were asked which senses would you like to, if you had to lose 4, which one would you keep? What would you say? Sight. Yeah? Second? Hearing.
Actually, that's sort of at the front, in that with your ears you can actually see around corners.
Yes.
Or into other rooms.
Yes. Well, this is the point. What we see is only a very, very, very thin slither of the spectrum.
Yeah, between you being...
Hearing is the same, but you can actually see with your ears.
Correct.
And you can hear also with your sight. You can flip them over. So, but you're beginning to understand the two religions that are out there, philosophy fighting against theology. The 5 senses. These senses are fighting for our attention. The sun gives us that thin slither, but then there's all that ultraviolet and all that ultraviolet and infra meaning below, and hello. Does that not harmonise with our chakras? See, ultraviolet, gamma rays, very fast and very slow, fearful waves down here, your radio. Isn't it? Radio and microwaves and all those yeah? And then the high ones, what have you got up here? You've got ultraviolet. Can anyone help me? Gamma rays.
X-rays.
X-rays are there, right? So this sun is the lucent one. His true name is Lucifer, because he deceives you with the eyes, and believe me, it's a deception what you see. It's all a deception. It's Maya. It's an illusion. It's real. Yes, it's real because our minds tell us it's real. And we have this light and darkness, up and down, black and white, good and evil. And it's all a theatre. Because it's in our mind. It's not in God's mind. There's no evil. So you begin to see, when you're dealing with the lower mind and the chakras below, then they want to keep you down there. They want to keep you down there. Power, sex, and survival. They don't want to get you into the heart chakra. Their doctrines will keep you down. You will not ascend, you will not be saved if you go to church. And the reason they do that is because they're using, it's a trick. Lucifer works only here. Saturn works out here, his twin brother, hearing. Which is better? The religion of seeing or the religion of hearing? It is. It is. It's the feminine. Because it's Saturn. And Saturn is magnetic. It's feminine. All the planets are. Any magnetic body is feminine. And the sun, being electric, impregnates its particles. It's the impregnator. Just like when you put electricity into a rock or a magnetic energy and you magnetize it, that polarity of the current that you put into that rock stays forever.
Can you use it like
Oh yes, I can. Sorry, you did say that before. Now, and these are the two churches. This is, and that's the soul, the Christians, Christ. By the way, the sun is Lucifer. It's Lucy in the sky with diamonds, the stars. It's Lucy. That's Lucy. But this is the deceiver. Lucifer is a deceiver. And Saturn, the god of hearing, will teach you about the sixth sense and the intuition. It's the feminine, right brain. And they've been at war forever. Cain and Abel, Horus and Set. And you're going to see how that works. It's beautiful how this works. Absolutely beautiful. Now, the only other thing I want to do, I'm sorry, I've been stuck on the science here, and it's sort of more boring because the next part's the best stuff, really. But I just want to do this before I go on, because I know I've just introduced to a lot of you about the Platonic solids. So I know that I'm going to have to do a little bit more work here before we go into it, all right? This is physics. It's not hocus pocus. This is physics. When you talk about fire, earth, well, what's your sign? Are you a fire sign? And people listening in get horrified because don't talk about this devilish stuff, astrology. This is disgusting. Don't contaminate me. It's science. It's pure science. Fire, air, earth and water correspond. I mean, I'd rather work with this than that, because this, I've put them, my niece was supposed to have a big A, one of these for me. And she failed. She rang this morning, she said, office works are closed, sorry. But she was supposed to have a big one because I knew I'd have this problem. But let me use this. There it is again. Ether. Below ether is fire, or suns. All the suns and the stars that you see. And from those stars come forth everything in the material world, using either gas, liquid or solid forms. Because that's the only thing that atoms do. Atoms are God. That's what God is. God is atum. Atoms. He's not over there, you know. He's not detached and apart from the nature. Outside of it, he's not. It's all of it. That's really not correct to have male there. It should be, it's hermaphrodite. It's neutral. But you see it so often in Plutarch and Plotinus and all the Neoplatonic philosophers of the 2nd century that refer to it as he. It's this problem that we have from the Greek language that has 3 genders and stuff like that. But they don't teach that it is male or female, how we see it. It's the principle of electricity and magnetism. This is the 2 male and female polarities of everything in existence. Everything.
Yeah, it's not sexual.
No. And yet again it is, really. It's a whole, as Walter Russell says, that beautiful everything that goes on that is electromagnetic is God having sex. It's sex. Now, good on you, God.
What you said about the atom before,
yes.
The matter in an atom, or the matter in the universe is not a supercube or something, so it really doesn't matter. Yeah? Is that, you know, it's all space.
It is space, yeah. As Democritus had it 2,500 years ago, and Empedocles and Pythagoras and Plato. Plato said that our solar system, Christians have been telling us, oh, we just discovered 500 years ago that the sun is in the centre of the Milky Way, of the solar system, and it's not the Earth. Well, they haven't read Julian the Emperor of the 4th century, have they? Because he was the apostate. He was the one that tried to bring the world back he's the nephew of Constantine the Great. 40 years after Constantine the Great, He tried to bring the world back to Christianity in 360 BC, CE. It's only 40 years after Christianity was made official and they started the bloodletting. My God, the pagans had to run for the hills and they pulled down those temples. They pulled them down. I've got a list, pages long, of all the dates, starting from when Constantine got on the seat there with Christianity. This guy, if they didn't kill him, he was in a war against the Persians. He was fighting Julian. He was in the front, and his Christian soldiers from behind shot him, killed him. In 3 years, he brought the world back to paganism, and he wrote in here that the sun is the centre of the solar system. So they don't read. It's a fib. It's their fictional theatre. They're falsifying history by making us think that we've only known the last 500 years that the sun is the centre of the Milky Way. Pythagoras and Plato said the sun is the burning altar around which all the chariots of the planets dance around. And here's Julian in his beautiful orations to the sun. Everything is to the sun. He wanted to bring us back to the sun knowledge, because original Christians were called heliognostics, sun knowers. That's what an original Christian was called, a sun knower, a heliognostic. Because if you know the sun and you know the solar system, you will know the science which will teach you about you. Man, know thyself, and you'll know all its gods and its universe. Here we have Julian. He says, as for the planets, it is manifest that dancing, as it were, round the sun, their motions, you know, I'm emphasising this because how many people like to tell you that? How many priests carry that next to their Bibles when they're in church saying, hey guys, we've always known that the sun is the centre of the Milky Way, of the solar system. We've always known it. And it was only the fools, the literalist Christians, that changed it around and said, no, it's the earth, because they didn't understand that the order of Saturn, Jupiter and Mars is the order of their orbits. So the one who has 30 years, Saturn, he's the ruler, he's the king. Right? Now back to this science. These are the 5 Platonic solids. There's only 5 shapes. You can sit on a computer from now till the rest of eternity, and you can try and find a shape that will touch its edges inside a sphere like the Platonic solids do, which I've showed you. We'll just have a look once more again for the meditative benefits of it. There's the Platonic solids. They are the only shapes that will fit inside a sphere. They are also called Pythagorean solids. And that is what all those atoms are doing. All of these atoms. All of them. They will either carbon, that'll be carbon. Carbon will have 6, will be a cube. And how do I know? What's the atomic number of carbon? 6. 6, 6. 6 electrons, 6 neutrons and 6 protons. The mark of the man, the mark of the man, 666. If you flat pack a hex, and we are a carbon creature, you get a cross. The shape of every cathedral and Egyptian temple. You go down to Flinders Street and have a look at St. Paul's. Have a look at St. Patrick's. Have a look at St. Patrick's in the Catholic cathedral. Same shape as this. That's the hex. Chinese kanji. Japanese kanji for earth. Have you seen it? No. That's the Japanese kanji for earth. The cross. Carbon. 666. That's a hex, flat packed. Hex, solid, carbon. It's all science. So as those photons emanate from fire and then become particles and atoms and molecules, molecule, atom, particle, photon, That's how everything works. That's how the world of effects appears. Those beautiful photons dripping down and becoming more gross as they go down, just like a distillery. So when we come down, as Plato said, our bodies made of earth and water, we are 75% water, but the bones and the solid part of our body is what we call earth. For out of dust you came and out of dust you shall return. That's what it's talking about. These particles, these elements, carbon, a little bit of hydrogen, a little bit of oxygen, a little bit of nitrogen, a bit of other stuff there. You've got trace elements. But these are the main elements. These four turn up everywhere. 4 blood types. 4 limbs. 4 seasons. This is what it's all about, these beautiful 4 polarities. So, you see, the tetrahedron has 4 sides. And it's light, it's the photon. The octahedron, spirit, has 8 sides, it's the particle. Becomes an atom, becomes a molecule. The lowest degree of life is the molecule. This is the highest degree of life, the ether. So you see here the elements, the platonic solids, the state of matter. That's the states, the 4 states of matter. And the physics, the chemistry, that's our body. All organic forms. That's where I'm going to leave off with the science. And now we're going to get into the really, really juicy stuff. And I'm glad I've got this big board. I've always worked with this one. This is going to be great. All right. So that was the boring science. But you did learn quite a bit. Okay? The fundamentals of a lot of this stuff. You learnt it. I would suggest that you go and do some more studies on it too, though, because the more you meditate on this, the more you know yourself. And knowing yourself is where all your power will be, because you will discover that you are God. That's who you are. Inside our heart there is an atom. And that is the centripetal atom that holds all of those other atoms, which is a galaxy in itself, centripetally together. And it's Regulus. It's in the heart chakra. It's the heart chakra. It's the Christ. And that's who we are. This atom is the seed. We are the seed. We are in the middle kingdom. Here is the ether, and here is the molecule and the mineral, which goes up to the plant kingdom, then the animal kingdom, then the man. Man is in the middle. He's at the equator. And that's what they said. He's in the middle kingdom. And if you make it to this kingdom, and you're an animal, and you look down, you can see animals that are coming through like dogs. Have you seen how many? Have you got a pet dog or a cat? How smart they are and how intelligent, and they want to be like us. My dog just wants to be a human. She's amazing. Amazing. Because they're looking up, and we are gods to them. And these are gods to these, and these are gods. The mineral is the lowest. The mineral kingdom, the 4 kingdoms. We're in the middle. This is a seed of a star. And the star is up here. The stars, you go through the astral, you go through the astral, then you get to the causal world. From the astral world to the, how do the Hindus call it? But anyway, our 7 chakras are in here. Our 7 chakras are in here, then there are chakras above, and they are, this is hopefully how our soul, when we lose our bodies, our molecules, because that's what it is. Plato said that the earth is, the body that we have is called a soma. And the tomb that we go to is the sema. And he said it's the same word. We come from a womb and we go to a tomb. Same word. And that's why we have a tombstone, because it looks like the womb of your mother. Memorializing the fact that your spirit now has gone back. And you don't have a bodily form anymore, and there's the womb on the tomb. And he said it's the same word. We come down and we get a baptism of death, a baptism of earth. So as a Christian we get baptized with water, because water is the universal solvent. It cleanses the defilement of the earth. Then, as John the Baptist said, the one coming after me will baptize with spirit and fire, because we have to be baptized with Spirit, because Spirit cleanses the water, and this purges everything. This is the sun. We have to go through the sun. We have to go through the moon, Mercury, Venus, Sun, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, in order to get back to the cause. And that's the story of how all of this is going to unfold. Just want you to have a look at something before I draw my graph. Here is an ancient map. About 500 years old. Can you see the equator? You can straight through the middle, and then you can see a sine wave. Can you see the sine wave? Now, if you had your binoculars here today, you would see Aries over here, the little sign of the horns, just like the McDonald's you see down the road. You see the McDonald's? That's not an M for McDonald's. That's the horns of the ram. It's the symbol of Aries. And all of the symbols, BP, Shell Oil, I'll show you in a minute, they are all the sun, and they are all the heroes up above. It's the stars. And as we get to know them, we'll get to know. It will be the beginning of understanding everything, because it all focuses on the knowledge of the 7 planets. Aries, that's the 21st of March. That's when everything begins. That's the start of the year. The Jews begin their year on the 21st of March. Aries, the Passover time. Nisan 14, they celebrate the Passover. I wonder why. Would it be because the sun has just passed over from the southern hemisphere of winter, and it's passed over the equator, and then the Christians run along and celebrate Easter, and the marriage of the Lamb, Aries? Because the Passover always happens in Aries. When the sun passes over out of out of Egypt, the Red Sea, because when the sun goes through September, the scales of Libra, at the equinox, when the sine wave flips over from electricity to magnetism, when it goes through Libra, and we go into the southern hemisphere, the trees that were green from the photosynthesis all of a sudden turn red. And so it's the Israelites going through the Red Sea. And you must come up out of the Red Sea in order to go into the promised land. As you're going to see in the fairy tales and in every storybook ever. It's the story of the son, the hero, and as he climbs the holy mountain of God and reaches the 21st of June, Jerusalem, he rides in on 2 donkeys in procession. Why? Because the donkeys are in the sign of Gemini. There's 2 donkeys. And when the sun comes up in Gemini, Aries, Taurus, Gemini, the sun has come up on 2 donkeys into Jerusalem, summer. And that is the point of summer beginning. These are the summer months. Cancer, Leo, Virgo, and there's Libra. And so that would be the Passover. That's the start of the Jewish sacred year. And guess when the start of the Jewish secular year is? September the 21st. Right? Remember we said before, how can January the 1st mean anything? Well, here's March the 21st, June the 21st, September the 21st, and December 21st. They are the 4 cardinal points. They are the 4 crucial days of the year. And the cross-quarter days are the ones that go in between those.